Good morning YouTube and welcome back to the channel and episode 7 of Project Hoonigrom. Well, from those who saw in the intro, it starts, it runs, it rides. I mean, I obviously haven't gone very far on it, just down the garden path, and pleased to report, other than a few niggles, which you'll see in the video, it works. I've done it. I've made it happen. I can't actually believe it. It was such a surreal moment getting on it and riding it down the garden path. I was like, man, I've got to get this out on the road. But as you'll see in the video, steps have gone forward. Obviously the chain's on, all the engine mounts have been done. A big thanks to my friend Andy for sorting that out. But let's wind the clock back. I mean, it's been laid up for a week, probably about 2 weeks ago when I got the mounts all designed up, delivered, and we started putting it together. So I hope you enjoy.
So as you can see there, I've made a small cut just in the side of the block there, and then it looks like it is just more of a reinforcement bracket. The original angle just fouled the mount that's going to sit, which will make more sense once we put it together. But I've just had to sort of take probably about 4 millimeters, maybe 5 off that edge as it tapered down because it's just in the way. The only problem now is it's the first time I've had a proper look at the bolt hole size. Now in the UK, bolt size is going from a 14 to an M16, so M16 bolt. So the problem is measuring it now, which I probably should have done beforehand in hindsight, is it's actually a 15mm diameter hole, which is very unusual. So you could, I mean, I wouldn't want to, you could drill all the way through there to a 16mm, but there is a steel dowel in the middle, and you're going to obviously need that if you ever take the engine apart, and if you slimmed it out too much, you wouldn't have enough material on there for it to work. So the other option is using a 15mm bolt, but unfortunately here in the UK, looking online, it looks near impossible. So just down here, we've got the M16, and this is the original stud that went through to the KTM, into the swing arm and through the block. As you can see, fits nicely in there. Now I've just literally cut the stud off that was on the end there, and as you can see from that black marker pen, that's the length I'm going to need. The good news is I can buy an M15 by 1.5 tap, just to go all the way down, or die even, just to bring it all the way down. And obviously we have the nut, and then once we've got the thread on there, we can cut that and we'll have a suitable size bolt. So it looks like that's going to be the next step now, whilst we wait for the engine mounts to turn up. An exciting morning in the garage. Oh, the mounts have turned up. Andy absolutely smashed it. So, man, I cannot believe this. So I've laid them over just before starting the camera. So these are what I sent Andy. I made myself a duplicate set just in case they went missing. And I mean, considering I sent him these cardboard cutouts and he had to turn them digital, what a man, super skilled. And obviously if I'd tried to have done this by hand, it would have been an absolute mess. So So with the front of the engine supported on the scissor jack, I've removed the bracket that was faithfully holding the engine in place for the last month or so, or whenever we started. And I've loosely, well not loosely, but I've bolted that bracket into the lower hole. So what I've done is I've mimicked them so that both are the same. At the moment this is just pinched up. I've also got a 6mm hole there. There's going to be a spacer that goes in between those two, which I've got just to try and brace it up as much as possible. But to be honest with you, even with that mount loose, when I undid the scissor jack to move the height, it moves the whole frame. So that rear point is holding the block really on its own, which is good news. So what I've done is, as this top bracket's been removed, you can see the two holes. I've put a 8mm drill bit and just touched both sides. So I've got my 8mm holes, which we're gonna drill out now, and then we'll copy it onto the big mess on the bench with the other one, and then we should be able to lock it all up. And that wraps up today's work. As you can see, all the mounts are on, radiators in place with the brackets as well, coolant hoses. Absolutely chuffed to see it at this stage now, because tomorrow is going to be the first time trying to start it, and we're still just in March, last day tomorrow. So I've done it before April. If I can get the chain and sprocket all on tomorrow, clean the carb out, and it all starts with no gremlins. Obviously it's still pretty rough looking. I need to get some new Jubilee clips for the coolant hoses, but they're holding tight, so hopefully no leaks. Hopefully that elbow is also going to hold up tomorrow, but yeah, it's looking pretty much ready to go. Super excited. So we'll get some fuel in it, put some coolant in it, and then yeah, moment of truth. It's another day in the workshop. Last night I got right sucked in to getting the coolant lines on. I briefly threw the chain just in place. It hasn't been linked up, but that's going to be today's job, is to get the chain finalized. And then it's going to be putting some fuel in it, putting some coolant in it, and seeing what happens. I mean, initial doubts, obviously, is that elbow going to be suitable enough? Have I done the wiring loom correctly? I'm sure there are going to be many factors in this first fire up just to see if it works, but super excited. We've got to refit the standard exhaust. I've taken the fender off because unfortunately with that expansion pipe even modified, it's still just getting so close to catching that I didn't want to damage it. So yeah, let's get the chain on and put some fluids in it, do a final walk around check, and it should be wheeling it outside in the rain to see whether it starts. With the chain marked up, you can see my little black marker one on that link. We're going to have to remove these rivet heads and take that link out, because as you can see here, it's a generic chain, well too long. It's obviously built for a motocross bike or something like that, which obviously I at the time wasn't really sure how long I needed. I definitely didn't order one that's too short. So we'll chop that now, and then back over on the bench, we have the new split link that's going to go in there, and that'll basically link us up to the right chain. Now for me, whenever I cut a chain, if it's being used, I put the base part, all this, back in the box, because we're going to get grinding dust everywhere, and it's not really what you want in a brand new chain link, is it? So we'll put that part in the box, put the other end in the vise, and grind those rivets down. So I've strapped the bike down just as we did earlier on, just to gauge an idea on sprocket heights. I mean, to be honest with you, I think it's going to chew through this rubber pretty quickly. If the rubber block isn't there, there's enough room, but as you can probably see, it's got a little bit of pinch on there. Once that rubber wears down, which it's going to do pretty quickly, we should be spot on. But really happy with how it's sitting. I mean, I'd like the engine a little bit higher, but as you know from the carb, it's just not an option. It's got a slight in it, and I think it is just because of this rubber block, which we're going to find out pretty quickly if it chews through it. But yeah, chain's on. Let's get some fluids in it, and it will be on to the next venture of putting coolant in it, and then some fuel. Oh man, what an experience to finally hear it fire up and go for a little ride down the garden. The weather is just awful, absolutely awful. So what have we got to finish up? Well, firstly, had a slight weep from the carb. So it is the gasket. Unfortunately, it looks like it's just old. When I stripped it down, I didn't replace it, so I've ordered new gasket for the float bowl. Hopefully that then will stop any of the leaks. Really, unfortunately, is my little temperature gauge stopped working. So I thought it might have been something with a 12-volt power. I've put it on a battery, it's not working. So I've contacted the seller. I mean, it wasn't a lot of money, so I wasn't expecting miracles. So if I have to order another one, we'll get another one ordered, because that'll be perfect. But although obviously the front end had to come apart, I checked the wiring. There's no issue with the 12-volt power. It is just that the sender, unfortunately, or the actual gauge is just not powering up when it did originally when we put it on the bench. The lights work as well. I've got brake lights, got indicators, just great. I didn't get any of that filmed because we were just quickly firing it up. But yeah, let's get some bits ordered up, and then the next video, she will be back out on the road again. So it'll be the first time to go for a proper ride. Obviously, we've still got no exhaust, so it's incredibly loud. But if you did enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button, consider subscribing. Until the next one, thanks for watching.